Well, if you're thinking about buying property like purchasing land for a house, you might want to pay some attention here. Christie Knowles joins us from Cusimano, Keener, Roberts, and Knowles and Raley, LLC. And thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Just how important is it to have your property checked out in terms of title?
Well, it's certainly a very important thing. Anytime you're looking at buying or selling property in general, it's really important that you've got a good team behind you that can encompass, your real estate agent, your banker, and your attorney to make sure that title's checked through and all the documents are in place that need to be.
What are some of the problems people find with titles?
Well, there's a lot of different problems that can happen that you might not, or the owner or the buyer might not know anything necessarily about, because documents are recorded at the courthouse, and unless you typically go to the courthouse and check, you're not going to know what's on there. But what's recorded that could be a cloud on title is anything from a mortgage that you have on your property to any judgment liens that may have incurred because of a judgment due by you that hasn't been paid in some way.
And that would be from the person who's the seller, not the buyer.
That's right. And then there's always issues like easements, whether or not there's appropriate road access to property, whether or not any environmental liens or city nuisance liens have been placed on the property.
Okay, how can your firm help with solving some of these problems before they become problems for potential clients?
Well, what we typically do is we'll review title before any transaction is due to take place to make sure that there's no cloud on that title and that it's good. And that benefits both the seller and the buyer. So, I mean, the lawyer can not only check the title, but also, review the title to see, all right, what's clean, what's not clean, what needs to be taken care of before the transaction can move forward.
Typically, how difficult is it to get a title cleared?
It just depends on how significant the problem is. Often typically they're minor, and you can get something handled, before the closing or as the closing happening. But there can be some major problems, and that's something you'd want to know to decide whether you want to even buy the property or not.
And that goes back to talking about liens on the property, or second or third mortgages that are not cleared up in the sale of the property.
That's right.
All right. Christie Knowles, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you coming down and giving the viewers some great information.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Now, once again, there it is on your screen. You can contact this law firm, Cusimano, Keener, Roberts, Knowles, and Raley, LLC, at 256-543-0400.